We are just 7 days away from the 2026 NFL Draft, but there's still plenty of time to continue our deep dive into the film. Today, two positions that have taken a lot of flack from 49ers fans, safety and center. Ooh, can't wait to get into this one. All coming up on today's Gold Standard podcast, presented by Prize Picks. What is good, everybody? Welcome to another Gold Standard podcast, part of the Pro Football Insiders. I am Rob Stats Guerrera. That man is Johnny Dale from the Johnny Dale Football Academy. This is the Demonetization Station, the show where we break down the film and the NFL, or in this case, college football, comes and takes all of our money. Johnny, how are you 1 week away from the NFL Draft?
Man, it's getting here. It is right here. We are just 1 week away. It feels like it has snuck up on us insanely fast. It seemed like not very long ago we were at the Senior Bowl and it was the 49ers were just coming off the playoffs, and here we are. The NFL Draft is here. So it hit me faster than I thought it was going to.
I absolutely cannot wait. I can't wait to hear that sound effect, which I have on my board, but I'm deliberately not playing because I like when I actually hear it on the TV broadcast. Today, we are going to look at safety and center because two positions that the 49ers could use both now and in the future. We're going to start with safety because, frankly, that's sexier than center. I'm sorry, offensive line fans. That's just the reality of the situation. The safety play for the 49ers last year was, in a word, rough. It showed up repeatedly throughout the season. There were big plays. There were blown coverages. It simply was not good enough. Is there help in this draft, Johnny?
I think there is. There's different kind of help, I think, for where the 49ers are going to be looking at. The two guys that we're going to look at today are very different kinds of safeties, and I think they fit a role, either one that they could go after. I think they're going to address safety in the draft because they only have three safeties on the roster right now. They need to add a fourth safety. They're not going to go into the season with just three guys. Jason Pinnock left. And so the question is, are you looking to upgrade a Marquise Siegel, a Jair Brown? I think they're good with Mustafa and they want to stick with him there. They want to bring somebody else in some way. So do they bring in another type like those two guys, or do they bring in a Jason Pinnock type who can come in to play the big nickel and battle these tight ends? Because the two guys we're going to look at, I think they'll both be there in the fourth round, and they're those kinds of safeties.
All right, well, let's kick it off with Bud Clark. I think is going to be the first safety, hopefully, because that's the guy I put on the thumbnail. A guy that was a ball hawk in college, 15 interceptions, I believe, over the past few years, 30 plus pass breakups. That's encouraging because some of the ball skills that the 49ers have had at safety in recent years have been, let's just say, lacking a little bit.
Absolutely. And these ball skills, the thing about it that's impressive is that when I was down at the Senior Bowl, they translated straight over. I think he had 2 or 3 interceptions in practice there at the Senior Bowl. And so it was, because one thing when you start watching some of the tape, the quarterback play that TCU was playing against wasn't always phenomenal. Now, I will say I didn't have his best games. Those were games that I didn't have the tape on. But he's a smaller safety. He's 6'1", 188 pounds. Smaller free safety guy with incredible range, smooth hips, and fantastic closing speed. Incredible production at TCU with 15 career interceptions. Aggressive safety in coverage with a nose for the ball. That aggressiveness can get him burned sometimes, and you'll see that. But the athletic ability down the field is absolutely elite. Would be best suited as a true deep safety to erase huge swaths of the middle of the field, and could also excel as a predominantly quarter safety. Smaller frame means he's not the guy you want in the box on a regular basis.
Okay, I can live with that, though, because the 49ers don't have a ball hawk. Like, Hufanga's gone. They don't have a guy that can make a game-changing type of play in the secondary. And if they give up some plays, like, I think I'm willing to live with that, honestly.
Yeah, and And we'll see that it's sometimes it's the aggressiveness of that he relies so much and he's so confident in his athletic ability that he's willing to take some gambles. And so, you're gonna have to live with that at some point. But this is where it becomes elite. So this is against USC in the Alamo Bowl. He's gonna move over here and play a deep half safety on this side, and USC brings the late motion. What's going to end up happening is they're going to get a corner route, a tight end to the flat to try and occupy this corner, and they're going to isolate one-on-one with him on a receiver on a corner route in red zone. This is something we gave up one of these against the Seahawks. Can you have a safety with the ability to cover this? So one smooth hip, super fluid turn. So watch him in the turn to turn on this and then chase down the routes. Just quick hips to flip, go, and then length to go break up the pass. Really impressive from a safety.
Yes, please.
So here you see him in the middle of the field. This is again where that closing speed will shine. He's going to drop back. Quarterback's going to scramble out here or it might be a designed run, and he's going to go close on this. Watch the closing speed. This is an athletic quarterback. Oh, it's a read option. So there's the closing speed. Just quarterback has to basically eat it. He says, I thought I could get to the edge. Can't do it against that guy. He's going to be out there. Here, he's in the middle of the field. It's kind of hard to see him because he blends in with the end zone. But they're going to try and go play action on this and then run a double post here. So they're bringing a post and then a post. The quarterback with this on the play action, what he wants is he wants to get Clark to jump on the run action and then hit his receiver right here around the U. And what you're going to see is he doesn't bite hard, and he immediately he reads the quarterback's eyes, and he picks up the first post. You can see the quarterback wants to go there. So his first read's taken away, covers him. He has to come back around too late inside, makes a bad throw for an interception. That's one that doesn't go on his stat sheet, but he makes that play.
I love that you showed that one because there's no stat for that. Like you said, he just did his job, but he impacted the play, obviously a massive play that ends in an interception. But sometimes, especially with a guy like Clark, you get caught up in the plays where he does make a play on the ball. I like that one where he didn't touch the ball and still was a huge factor in what happened.
Yes. And it was this game, I think, or is the other game I was watching where he ended up kind of taking some stuff away. Quarterback tries to force it. His other safety gets 2 picks in this game. But here you're going to see this is where that crazy athletic ability, he's going to be playing a deep safety over here. They're going to run a post route on him. This is where you can see the confidence in his athletic ability to run this down here. He flips, then gets his hips and close. He could run with this, right? He's got the speed. He runs a 4.40. He's going to try and undercut this pass still because he believes I can get up there, and he still gets up and tips the ball. Almost gets himself burned, but he believes I have the confidence, I have the speed, I can go make a break on that ball, and that's how you get 15 career interceptions at TCU.
That's going to, and it's going to be feast or famine at times, right? Sometimes he's going to make the play, and especially early in his NFL career, I imagine there's going to be a couple times where he's going to learn the plays that he can't make.
Yeah, he'll be a guy that might make you pull your hair out a couple times, but he brings that ball hawking, that ball nose for the ball ability that we just haven't seen from our safeties. Here, you're going to see him they're going to bring a little motion in, and they're going to come with late motion, try and run a play action roll out on this with the tight end coming across. This guy, he's going to end up being matched up on this route. So this receiver that's in the slot, he's going to be matched up on this. What they're trying to do is get him to come down, and they want to hit this route. That's what they want. That's the route for the touchdown. So that's important to note here of how they design this out. Quarterback wants to go there, but he sees this guy is not bit and he's closing on it. So he ends up having to check it down to his tight end, and it's only a 2-yard gain. But if you watch this here, he's going to follow his guy, doesn't bite any of the cheese, gets right out to his guy and takes it away. They have to check it down to the tight end, and it's only a 2-3 yard gain. That's another one where he does his job and it forces the plays to go somewhere else.
And those plays in the red zone too, like that's a hard responsibility for him to not bite on all that stuff and to get that guy who's running such a short route when the guy's in motion pre-snap. That is not easy. I feel like that's similar to the play the Chiefs ran for the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl. It was that kind of a play.
Oh,
Route.
you had to bring it up. You
I just,
had to bring too soon.
yeah, I know it'll always be too soon, but that's
Kind of,
it's a great red zone play.
yeah, it is, and it's something that not everybody can make. Now, here's where he gets himself in trouble. This is where he relies too much on his athletic ability. He comes out here. He's gonna uh, shift too far outside and flat foots this because he's going to guess on this. He thinks this guy's going to run an out route, and he stops his feet, and this guy just runs right by him for on a post route, and he gives up a touchdown. That's what I mean about the plays. You'll get some really good splash plays, but you will get plays like that where he's going to give up some of those big ones. But the confidence this kid has to just come back and still fire away. Here he is. You're going to see him go into a deep safety. They're going to run another post route on him. So this is going to come in on a post. Watch the way he can sink in coverage, flip his hips because he's going to open up the opposite way, flip his hips, and then close on this pass for a pass breakup. Here he is. You can see him gets hips flipped. Then he turns and breaks on it and shuts it down, nearly forces in an interception. That's the ability that he brings to do that kind of stuff, is that you say, okay, pure free safety here, middle of the field, opens up, has to then turn and break on those in breakers. He gets it. That's what we haven't seen down the field.
That's interesting to me because I feel like if you were to ask Kyle Shanahan, he would prefer safeties like Jimmy Ward and Jaquaski Tart, who maybe don't make a ton of plays on the ball, but they just are disciplined and never give up big plays. I don't know what Raheem Morris favors, honestly. I have no idea. And will Kyle just sort of defer to Raheem Morris and say, like, hey, if this is the kind of guy you want, okay? Or, I think that'd be an interesting sort of back and forth there in the draft room if they're discussing a guy like a Bud Clark.
Yeah, and Bud Clark's the thing that's a little bit harder for the film, because I watched 3 of his games, was that being at free safety, there's just a lot of plays you're not involved in. Where it's really, if you're just in position, quarterback's not even looking that direction. And so, most of the time he was just assignment sound. It's when they start going after you, he can get a little aggressive, but you can't deny the ball hawking ability and that closing speed. 4.4140 was, I think, what he ran. It was either 4.41 or 4.4. And those smooth hips. That's the thing, is it's one thing to have that straight line speed. It's another thing to be able to play free safety where you have to flip your hips and then engage that speed. He's a guy that just, the range just flies off the tape. And love it. Now, he did his missed tackle rate did go up a little bit in 2025, but overall he's been a really solid tackler. The biggest knock I have for him is that he's got real injury history. He's missed significant time in 3 different seasons. So that is a concern for a team that has struggled with their ability.
Yeah, slightly, because he's not going to get any healthier coming to San Francisco. That substation is just licking its chops, waiting to get a hold of Bud Clark. All right.
Oh, no.
Let's get to safety number 2 today, and that would be VJ Payne from Kansas State.
Yes, Kansas State. This kid first popped on my radar at the Senior Bowl, mainly because I saw him in man coverage against some tight ends, and I was like, there's something here. Went and watched his tape. Really, really like this guy. He's a very different kind of safety than a Bud Clark, where Bud Clark is a little bit undersized, more the pure free safety type. This is more of he's going to be your big nickel kind of safety. So, VJ Payne, safety, Kansas State, big body, fast, big safety, blazing speed at a 4.440 with 6'3" and 208 pounds. Incredible 10-yard split, and it shows on film. He had one of the best 10-yard splits. It was 1.52, I believe, which is just insanely fast. And that burst and acceleration are elite. Solid tackler who plays physical, and his large frame make it hard for receivers in the run game and tight ends in the passing game. Would be a great scheme fit as a third safety in big nickel to combat the rise in 12 and 13 personnel across the NFL, specifically the Rams in our own division and the Seahawks in our own division. So that's one thing to keep in mind here.
Hmm.
Would be an instant upgrade over Jason Pinnock in that role. Jason Pinnock was that role, and we got ran all over. Jason Pinnock was terrible in that and also struggled covering some tight ends. But his body frame reminds you of Jason Pinnock a little bit. Hips are a little stiff to be a true hips are too stiff to be a true free safety, and that limits his abilities to also be a strong safety, as being asked to play half field would expose him too often to two-way lateral routes. So I don't like him as a deep safety back there. Either in half field, single field, you're trying to disguise coverages. For me, big nickel safety is this guy's home. And it's something that I think they may plug in to fit that role. In the right role in coaching, could be a solid addition and boost to the secondary. So that is VJ Payne. This kid is tall, he's long, he's fast, and he's physical. Things you really, really like. So here he is. He's playing safety on, nope, got to get my notes right. He's safety, it says safety on the near side. Nope, that isn't. Where'd my mouse go? Okay, my mouse disappeared for a second. Here's near safety, and he's going to come on a run fit. So they're going to try and run this out here. Running back's going to cut it back. He meets him in the hole. So this is where that kind of big nickel run fits. You want to be able to see him come up and make these kinds of tackles in space. Get in there, make the tackle. I like it. We're going to see him close from the end zone. So there he is, number 7. Come in, go make a tackle. I like that. It's what you want to see. Use your big frame. Okay, so now he's a safety on the far side. This is where he really, really shines, is this big frame when they ask him to convert to man coverage. So this Arizona, they're gonna run just a go route on him as this converts into man coverage. I love the way he plays this, the big body that he's going to end up using, the sideline. The guy tries to run, and he just runs step for step, squeezes him to the boundary. Quarterback has nowhere to put the ball. This is blanketed coverage, a big safety on a wide receiver. That is really good coverage skills that you don't see from many guys his size playing safety. So that's what I like. Here is in the exact role that I envision him in big nickel right here. So he's going to have a tight end come out here and try and block him on this, where he's got to contain out here. Think of this as like the Raheem Morris star role that Jalen Ramsey played, but now you're putting a safety in there to combat these tight ends. So he has to come up, maintain, contain, and this is where I see him shining. Gets in there, takes on the tight end, keeps contained, makes the tackle. That doesn't look like Jason Pinnock, right? Jason Pinnock was getting driven to the sideline. This is a guy who can get in there. He's got that frame to stand up against these tight ends in the run game, maintain his leverage, and then still go make a tackle. I love that. That's where I see him doing this. Again, here against the run, he's going to come in here. He's a safety. They're going to try and lead block him with a fullback. This is old school football heaven right here. Meet the lead blocker in the hole and stuff him in the hole. Watch what he does to the fullback, stuffs him in the hole like a linebacker. Safety. That's what makes you excited. Here he is. Watch him take this fullback on in the hole and bang, stand him up. Goal line stand. I love it. That's where I like this kid. He's not a perfect prospect. I wouldn't want him as a deep safety. That's why I think you can get him in the 4th round. If you put him in this role, I think he's going to really shine here. See, he's box safety here. They're going to try and get a wide receiver on him in a block. This would be that same role. This does not, he literally just looks like he just runs through this guy's block. Like the dude hardly blocks him because he can't move him. He's too big. He's too strong for this guy. He's right here. You see number 11 tries to get up on him. They bring him in, and he just goes right through this block, just runs through it, makes the tackle.
Barely noticed it.
Yeah, I mean, he acts like the block wasn't even there.
Nope.
So, yeah, this is where I really like him in that big nickel role.
He can't be worse than Pinnock, right? I mean, my God.
Can't be. All right. So here he is, safety. We're going to see him again come up and make a tackle in space. You want to see him or I believe this is when he ends up running deep and he ends up having to make a tackle from in space from deep. Yeah. Okay. So this running back's going to get out here. Can you do what a safety's asked to do? Make these kinds of tackles in space against running backs. because we saw too many times these tackles are not made. And he makes them. The big thing is when you see him make tackles on running backs, they don't get yards after the contact. He's a physical tackler. Then again, the coverage abilities in man, his frame, the way he can do this, they're going to convert to man on this as he goes. He's against a wide receiver. They're trying to run a first, they try and get some interference on him. They're going to run this up to try and get interference for him to the out. And he just works over the interference, works over it, gets his guy. They're going to try and run a little comeback route here, and he's all over it. Where quarterback looks, I mean, he's blanketed this guy. Quarterback just essentially throws this ball away. He's got nowhere to go. Guy's all over it, and he knows it. He's giving him an earful. I love to see that. Let's see, deep safety far side. So he's up here. They're going to get this run out here. Watch the tackle. And again, when he tackles with force. There's no yards after contact. So here he is. Come up, make this tackle, bang. No yards after contact. That's what you love to see, the physical ability he brings. Here, this is he's going to be a deep half safety. Kind of this play is shades. I'm not saying it is, but it just gives you shades of Cam Chancellor on Vernon Davis, because this is going to be a tight end. They're going to get a tight end. This guy, number one, is Triggs. He's going to be a tight end in the NFL. He's going to run down the seam. They're going to try and do a hole shot against cover 2 over here. And he lays a pop on this tight end. So this is what I mean. He's got the closing speed. Look at him. Close at it. Bang. Lay the wood there. That kind of reminds you. This looks a little bit like it. Not saying he's that kind of player. Cam Chancellor's like 230 pounds and running around doing this kind of stuff. But, he's got that closing speed, range, and ability to bring. You can see he thought he was going to get a penalty for a second. And then he turns it into a celebration. Oh, no. Oh, hey, oh, yay. But I love an enforcer there at safety. We need a physical guy who can do that playing against the teams we play against. They're physical guys. Here you're going to see him come in man coverage on the tight end. Same tight end. This guy's going to be a tight end in the NFL. I expect him to go in the 4th round probably. He had one in this game. He had one of the craziest catches I saw all season from a tight end. Made a one-handed catch like 35 yards downfield on a rail shot. It was wild. But this is what I mean about the frame to be able to cover tight ends. So when these tight ends, what makes them difficult is their big bodies make it hard for guys. You can see him battling with this guy up here. They're battling. It makes it hard for smaller guys to defend, right? This tight end is trying to block him out like a power forward for a rebound to get this touchdown, but he's 6'3", big bodied, no chance. He's all over it. No chance there. That's where the big body, big frame, I think as a man coverage guy on tight ends becomes really his strong suit. Again, where I expect him to be, big nickel roll, watch him come up and force the run, enforce against the run out here, take it on, no yards after contact, goal line stand. Okay, you have him here. This is going to be, again, on a tight end. I think they bring this guy in motion, and then they run a go route, a fade route here on a tight end. Again, on him. This is there's a wheel route here. So he's covering this. This is where he shines. Man coverage, tight end. Look at the tight coverage. Big frame. Forces an incomplete pass. Just there's no space to get that ball in there. He's got that big frame to battle these tight ends. I mean, this is almost an unbelievable catch by the tight end, but there's no space to get the ball in there. Now, this is where he can get himself in trouble against the tight end. He's going to stop his feet and guess, kind of like what we saw with Bud Clark. But here, he does have the wherewithal to say, okay, I'm not going to give up a tight end, and he grabs. So you give up pass interference in that spot. Too many times I saw him kind of stop his feet, and he would kind of panic and grab. Then here, there are some missed tackles that show up on tape. You're going to get some, but it's just a reality. So we got to show it here. He's going to try and fill against the run, and this is just not good enough. You're in the hole. You got to make that tackle. So there's a lot of things to like. Not the cleanest prospect. That's why he's going to be there, I think, in the 4th round. I think both these safeties end up in the 4th round. There are two different types, and where did the 49ers go? We'll see.
both have a lot to like for sure. I don't know if this matters, but he did play with Marquis Siegel at K-State. Again, I have no idea if that makes him more attractive or less attractive. I'm just pointing out that it is a thing that occurred. But both of these guys you think will be there later on, so the 49ers would not have to invest a high pick in either one.
Correct. I think that's would make sense of where their other needs are, what they have on the roster already, and where they're going to go.
Well, God knows we could use a safety. I mean, it is blatantly obvious to anyone. Our friend Dieter Kurtenbach likes to say safeties are destiny. And last season, the 49ers' destiny was to give up big plays. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. That's all the safeties we have for today, right?
Correct. I think there's the other guys. They're either not going to be there when we're picking, or they're guys that I don't think would fit as much what the 49ers are looking for.
Okay, no problem. Both of those guys, definitely something to keep an eye on day 3. We're going to get to the centers in just a minute. I know there is a huge contingent of 49er fans desperate for them to get some center, any center that can eventually take the place of Jake Brendel. We'll look at a few in 1 second, but first, just want to remind everybody to go and check out Prize Picks if you haven't done so already. Join the millions of users that signed up for America's #1 sports pick app for daily fantasy player projections and lineups. It's daily fantasy made simple. You just pick more or less on your favorite players' projections, and you build your lineups in just a few taps. It simply could not be easier. They have team picks, they have player picks, they have culture picks of things going on outside the world of sports, movies, TV shows, pretty much anything going on. Prize Picks has you covered either way, which is why I like it, because it just adds a little bit extra to whatever I've already got going on in my life. They have early payouts, which is nice. They have a community where you can follow people like any social network. I'm at Stats on Fire like I am on any social network. Feel free to follow me. And of course, they give you that fantasy feeling without having to wait until next season. Who doesn't like that? Go check it out for yourself. Make sure to see if Prize Picks is available in your state. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code HMA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code HMA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, Johnny, now is the time. Center, the position of death for many 49ers fans. Jake Brendel. Niners fans, some of them despise Jake Brendel. The 49ers love Jake Brendel. They say he's one of the best centers in the league. He's certainly a good value. I think he makes only like $4 or $5 million. And we just saw Tyler Linderbaum get what, $28 million a season?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
He's cheap. We will say that, but he's also 34 years old. So if the 49ers are going to get the center of the future, who could they potentially be looking at?
So, there's a number of guys here. I think there's some really good center prospects. We're going to take a look at a bunch of these guys. The thing that we have to bear in mind is that this is looking at a player to redshirt this year behind Jake Brendel, because Shanahan does not trust a rookie center. He wants somebody to redshirt behind Jake Brendel to serve for a year. And then when because Jake Brendel is going to be 35 next year. And he's never, like, his game is predicated on being fast. And when you hit 35 as an offensive lineman, you are not going to be as fast. So I think by 2027, if we look at the offensive line 2025, by 2027, we very well could see 60% of the offensive line different by 2027. We're talking about left tackle, talking about left guard, talking about center. All those three positions could be wildly different by 2027 than they were in 2025. We don't know the future of Trent Williams. We don't know. The 49ers are bringing in a bunch of offensive tackles for top 30 visits. That has been fairly recent that all this has been coming out, and it just makes you wonder. I've been very steadfast. They're going to go wide receiver at pick 27. I'm not sold on that anymore. I think with the noise around this and the uncertainty with that, I think that could be a thing. Jake Brendel, you need to get somebody in here. If you don't trust a rookie, then you need to think a year ahead. I don't believe he's under contract next year either. So that's something to think about. So our first guy here, we're going to look at a number of these guys. We're going to look at a guy I really liked because he was one of the first centers I put tape on, and I fell in love with the tape. It wasn't that I just really liked him for some reason. I really liked the tape. That was Jake Slaughter, center from Florida. Now, here's the challenge with Jake Slaughter is that I don't know where he's going to go. there is no consensus on this guy by any stretch of the imagination. The highest I've seen him ranked was 55. The lowest I saw him ranked, I think it was on NFL.com, was like 212th.
Whoa.
So there's a huge spread. Now, they were a big outlier. Most people have him as a third-ish round pick, but he could be there in the fourth. I've done a number of mock drafts, and the system keeps coming around that he's there in the fourth round. So we're going to take a look at him. Here's what I have about Jake Slaughter. Smart, athletic, and tall center. Ran the show for the Florida offensive line, handing out assignments in the run and pass game. Does at the college level what Jake Brendel is asked to do in the 49ers offense. He was a captain and showed a lot and has played a lot of football against some of the best defensive lines in the game. As a blocker, he's a driver, not a shover, and I really like that. Engages with his hands, but drives blocks with his legs. Excellent mobility for his height, and is a phenomenal pass protector, using his length to neutralize shorter defensive tackles. Pad level is good for his height, but will have to work to maintain good pad level against NFL defensive tackles. Is the kind of smart player you'd love to have running the 49ers offensive line and have as an understudy behind Jake Brendel for a year. Gives me Weston Richburg vibes. So that's what I think here about one Jacob Slaughter. And I talked to the guy for a couple minutes at the Senior Bowl, asked him about his their games against Georgia, asked him about the mental side of handing out assignments, and he basically confirmed to me, yeah, he dictated assignments in the run game and the passing game, much like what Jake Brendel does for the 49ers. That's a huge plus. Yes. So, and the 49ers met with one of his teammates, or they had a phone interview, I believe, Austin Barber. So what I call these guys is Sweeney Todd, because you have Barber and Slaughter. So,
I mean, his name is Jake Slaughter. Is there a more center name?
I mean, come on. And the dude sounds like he's been a long haul trucker for 20 years. He just does. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to dive actually into some tape from 2024, because I wanted to see him, because I asked him, I said, who was the most difficult matchup you've had? And he said, well, I'd love to tell you about some games in practice, but Walter Nolan. He said, Walter Nolan, guy could beat you with speed, guy could beat you with power. And we know Walter Nolan was a high draft pick last year. So this gives us a really good comp for Walter Nolan. We're not going to see him going against him on this play, but it's a tease. We will. So this is them against Ole Miss in 2024. But what you like is that his height, his ability to block, zone block, and get to the second level. He gets up there with quickness. He knows how to engage in his combo blocks, get to the second level, and wall guys off. I like it. All right, here you're going to see him. He drives and he finishes blocks. So we're going to see him block down on this. He's going to put this defensive tackle in the dirt. He's going to keep blocking and bury the guy. I love it. Have a guy that's going to drive with their legs. So here you're going to see him against Walter Nolan. He's got to slide over. They're going to have this slide. So he's got to take on Walter Nolan. They're trying to, Ole Miss is trying to isolate Walter Nolan on Jake Slaughter, the center. So look at how he uses his length in his arms to neutralize Walter Nolan. Boom, engages, sets him up, stonewalls him. Yes, it's a quick pass, but that he wasn't getting there even in 4 seconds. So I like that. Here you're going to see him working a combo block, and he's going to block down on this. Again, what I want to emphasize here is the technique of his blocking. You're going to see him engage, those arms coming close, and watch his legs. He drives with his legs. He doesn't shove with his arms. When guys shove with their arms, they'll get out over their feet. They get unbalanced. They'll get tossed around. It leads to a lot of holding penalties. You want to see a driver. So that's what I mean here. Tucked in arms, legs driving on this block. That's what you're looking for, that I really like. He's a driver, not a shover, and he's able to move guys with that. He's not the strongest in the bench press, like that wasn't a thing, but a lot of offensive line is not actually about the bench press. Here you're going to see him in one-on-one pass pro against Walter Nolan. And he holds up as long as you can be expected to hold up against Walter Nolan. He holds up for at least 4 seconds. If that's Brock Purdy, that ball is out of there or Brock's taken off. If you got Walter Nolan up here and we're playing against the Cardinals and you got a center who can do this for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at 5 seconds, I'm happy with that. I am very happy with that. If I got a center who can take on Walter Nolan that long. Now he didn't always win. Walter Nolan's a good player. He's going to try and get him in the run game, and Nolan just beats him right away and gets through there. So again, he's not a perfectly clean prospect, but he's also going against one of the best defensive tackle prospects of the last year. So this is not what I thought it was going to be.
Well, I like a lot of what you showed. The Weston Richburg comp is fascinating because I don't know if people really remember before he got hurt. First of all, the Niners gave him a bag, so they obviously loved the way he played. But also, before he got hurt, he was playing really well for the 49ers. It was a good signing by them. Unfortunately, he had was it the patella injury, I think? I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, he tore his patellar tendon at the end of the 2019 season, near the end of that 2019 season,
Yep.
and it just was not good. So I got a clip of Jake Slaughter here, but
Let's watch it together. Was it Senior Bowl?
well, yeah, this is Senior Bowl. I think I know what he's going to do, but I had a whole nother set of film on him, and I guess it didn't come out. I goofed somehow in that whole thing, but you get to see him here. Trying to remember why I put this on here. Oh yeah, look. I mean, great pad level, drive on the block. So keeps that pad level down. This guy's 6'6", and he's running with great pad level. And look at that, the driving legs. So that's that. I had like 7 more clips on him, but
I think we get the picture.
Yeah, I guess we don't. I apologize. This is what happens when you're trying, because I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more clips on him. I had some against Alfred Collins because I wanted another NFL comp because they played against Texas. He was holding up well against Alfred. The one thing that really showed up, and again, I had asked him about this, is they were playing against Georgia. So it was also another comp I wanted to have. I pulled a lot of 2024 tape because we know who a lot of these guys are. These were all first and second round picks. Georgia, Jalen Walker and Micah Williams are on the left, and they run a stunt, and he's ready for it. He doesn't even bat an eye, and they pick up those 2 guys who are both high first round picks like that. And when I asked him about it, he talked about how their defensive line coach had cut-ups of all their stunts and everything, and some of the tells of if this guy's foot was forward, they knew this was coming. He was ready for it. He knew it was going to be there. The ability to translate that, I've seen this in the film study and practice, to the field was really impressive to me.
Is he, of the guys that you picked for today's show, is he the only center that was like making the protection calls, or are there other guys that were doing that? Because that is like one of the most attractive things to me, because like you said, that is exactly what he's going to have to do. Whoever this center ends up being, that's what they're going to have to do in San Francisco.
Yeah. So, spoiler alert: all the guys that I picked for this have done that. That was one of the key points for me, is when I was watching guys. Did you see them? Could you know that they were the ones handing out assignments? So that's where we're going with today's show. All these guys should be available around the 3rd or 4th round, because I'm still not convinced that the 49ers aren't going to make a trade of somebody like a Mac Jones or maybe a 2nd or 3rd round pick. And so I think they want to pick up some more draft capital. And so I think some of these guys are going to be there. This next guy is a very fascinating pick. This is going to be Connor Lew from Auburn. He's a very intriguing pick for me. I didn't know a lot about him. Put on his tape last night, was watching it for like 2 hours after my kids went to bed. Huh. But Connor Lew from Auburn, he's a smart, athletic center with excellent short area movement skills, is a premier pass protector. I also say Jake Slaughter's biggest strong suit is pass protection. That dude will be an NFL center just off his pass protection. But Connor Lew is a premier pass protector and highly lauded by his coach, who claimed after 2024 that he was NFL ready. Said he's going to be an NFL center. I think he's NFL ready already. Was trending as one of the top centers in the class purely off of his pass protection skills. He's, as this says, he will never be a people mover, but has the movement skills to get the job done. I completely agree with the athletic here. I didn't even read that draft write-up, but that's pretty much what I've said in here as well. He was trending as one of the top centers in the class purely based off of his pass protection skills before an ACL injury in October against Mizzou. That's the catcher here. That injury sunk his season and his draft prep. He won't be available week 1, and so he's an intriguing candidate for a red shirt year to understudy behind Jake Brendel. You're not going to be playing this guy as a year 1 starter anyways, no matter who you're picking at center. So this is what makes him intriguing. You're going to need to redshirt him, and so you got a guy whom you might be able to stash on IR. And so this makes it's an interesting question towards your roster construction. You want a guy in your building, you want him in the meetings, you want him understudying, but can you do that without taking a roster spot? And he's a phenomenal pass protector. But the injury concerns, I mean, we have injury concerns. Center, he's a center with all the physical characteristics to be a top center and could have huge value based off the injury situation for a team not looking for a day 1 player. And so this is what's interesting. We're going to start with his 2024 tape from Texas A&M because they had Shamar Stewart on that defensive line. That was a good defensive line. So we're looking for smart guy. I will say the Auburn offense, no offense to War Eagle fans here, it was driving me nuts to watch. But watch him pick up a stunt over here with ease. This again speaks to film study. When you can pick these up and just make it look easy, hold up for a long time, give your quarterback enough time to bomb the ball down the field. That's what you love to see, right? Too many times we saw centers or guards getting all confused in there. But here he is at center. You're going to see him climb to the second level and displace the linebacker. So just watch him get up here, get to the linebacker, and then move him out of the picture. That's what I like to see. He doesn't do that against defensive tackles, but against linebackers, plenty of ability to do that. Here you see him again, quickness to the second level. That's the movement skills we're talking about. Ability to get up here, get up to the second level, engage that block, get that guy out of there, help out your run game, get your run game going. Here you're going to see him, again, quick movement to the second level and get the linebacker out of there. The thing that jumps off the tape for this guy is his quickness, short area quickness. Bang, get over there, get to the second level, clear that out of there. You're going to see him here pick up another stunt and neutralize the rush. Center. When guys are able to do that, boom, hand it off, get your guy, pick up the rush. That speaks to how they can process things on the field. It's like a quarterback. You want to see how quickly can they process what's happening in front of them and be able to diagnose that I'm not going to stick with this guy who's landing inside. I got to hand him off and pick up another guy. We saw that too often. Here, this is where it's going to point to his film study. You can see him handing out assignments out here, right? He's working with this whole offensive line. Look at him. They're eyes to him. He's handing out these assignments to the guards. The guards are going to hand these out to the tackles. So this is where you see it. You're going to see all this pre-snap stuff. He's handing out assignments, and watch with how quickly he's going to pick this blitz up. They haven't tipped this at all, and he's going to be able to get the line into the right protection to pick up this blitz and just pick it up right away. Bang. That speaks to film study. That is not a reaction. That is being prepared for what he's seeing. So that's what pops off the tape with him. Again, same thing. They're going to come with a blitz off this side. I think they bring another guy too. He's completely ready for it. He understands that when they're showing this look, these guys up here, they're going to back these guys out and they're going to come with a blitz off the other side. Speaks to his film study. Okay. Watch, his first step is right over here to catch this linebacker. He's not worried about this guy. He knows how they're working this. That's film study, film prep on a team. They get in the right protection. A quarterback shouldn't have taken off and run, but that's a different conversation. It speaks to the above the shoulders ability to play. Here you're going to see him climb to the second level. I think he gets up on this linebacker, gets him out of here, gets his quarterback in for a big gain. There he is, up to the second level, engages the guy, keeps him down, keeps the block through, gets his quarterback through the middle for a big touchdown. Love it. Able to move up here. This is from this year, by the way. This is 2025. And same with the Georgia tape. That's 2025 tape. That was the last full game before he tore his ACL. So love the movement skills of this guy. Here he's going to slide over and pick up the defensive tackle, and he ends the rush. Again, premier pass protector. I can show you 100 clips like this where he just slides over, engages the guy, and the rush is over. They're pretty boring clips. So there's not as many to see on there. Here you're going to see him take on the nose tackle. Again, just a lot of these. Puts the guy in there, holds up. It's just another great boring clip because he holds up in pass pro. You're going to see the same thing here. He's going to take on this nose tackle, uses that good technique, good feet, holds up in pass pro. So that's all. I mean, like I said, I could have shown like 100 different clips of him just holding up in pass protection like that. Really interesting prospect.
That is the exact word I want when you're talking about my offensive lineman. Boring. I want just stonewalling of everybody. That was literally the word I was thinking of as you were showing those clips. I was like, wow, this is boring. This is great. So there's a lot to like there for sure. The red shirt thing is a bummer, but yeah, if you got Jake Brendel anyway, and Kyle ain't getting rid of Jake Brendel, like you said, this guy seems like he might be able to step into the shoes. So I could get behind that if they use a pick later on in the draft, obviously, like you said, especially if they were able to trade, Mayoko's even talking about potentially trading a linebacker or Mac Jones, whoever it is, to get an extra pick. Maybe that's how they can squeeze this in. All right, who's next?
So next is a guy that, I always am really careful with guys from Alabama because I'm from Alabama. I live 72 miles from Tuscaloosa, and I famously several years ago was pounding the table for Cameron Latu, and that flamed out. So ever since then, I've been really hesitant about any Alabama guys. So I didn't want to push this guy until I put on his tape. And I absolutely fell in love with this guy and his tape. His game against Georgia. This is Parker Brailsford, center from Alabama. His tape against Georgia was just so stinking good. And I will 100% agree with the Athletic here. A small frame may mean limited NFL appeal, but a great find for the right scheme. I feel like these guys wrote my draft write-ups, like they're these scouting reports. And I didn't even read their stuff. So what I put on here is incredible athlete with insane speed for an offensive lineman. Would be hand and glove fit in a Shanahan movement-based offensive line scheme that requires speed and quickness. Played a ton of football with 47 starts and was so good at Washington that DeBurr brought him with him to Alabama. Was a permanent captain last year and will be a fantastic scheme add with value. Is undersized at 6'2" and 290 pounds, which is why he should be there in the fourth. He reminds me of Jake Brendel with slightly bigger arms as far as Jake Brendel's size. Jake Brendel's arms are 31 3/4. His arms are 32 inches. So he's actually got a little bit longer arms than Jake Brendel. Smart player who plays with an edge, great movement to the second level. Smart player who rarely gets surprised and plays with strong technique. Smaller stature shows up when he loses early and panics with grabbing. 17 holding penalties in college. Now, again, that's over 47 starts. So that's one about every 3 games. He's going to get a holding penalty. But that's when that small stature shows up. When you get 17 holding penalties, that is something. But again, that's over 47 starts, but that's mostly due to a smaller stature when he starts to get overpowered and he grabs because he's just a smaller guy. But when I say scheme fit for the 49ers, this is a scheme fit. And so you talk about value there in the 4th round for somebody who would be a perfect scheme fit. This is the guy. Okay. So here's what we want to see. Are you handing out assignments? So watch him here. He's going to be dictating. He's telling everybody where you're going to go. Then the quarterback comes up, changes the play. Okay, so now he's got to handle that. Okay, we changed the play. Now he's communicating. He's pointing out who's got who. They're gonna get everything here. Okay, he says he's dictating assignments on who, to make sure they've got all these guys accounted for. So he's got to handle all that pre-snap, dictate the assignments. And then at the snap, they're going to run this cross dog blitz here. So now the assignments change. Can you still handle everything when you've done that? Look at the way they pick this up. He gets his guy. They've got all their guys. That is great orchestration by your center of dealing with all of that pre-snap stuff, handing out the assignments, all of it. I love it. Okay.
That was really cool. I got to say, he looks small out there.
He does. He's a smaller guy. I mean, but this is going to be that Shanahan smaller movement-based guy. Here's where he shines. You're going to pull him out here. Pull him as a center. Like, just think about okay, what he reminds me of, and I'm saying ceiling. Ceiling. People will freak out when you give certain comps. Is Kelsey, right? Kelsey was a smaller center, similar frame, similar movement abilities. I'm not saying he's Kelsey. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that if you look at who's your ceiling, where Jake Brendel reminds me of, Jake Slaughter reminds me more of Weston Richburg. Connor Liu reminds me more of Alex Mack. This guy reminds me more of Jason Kelsey. And so those are the kind of player types, like how they play the position is how they remind you. Because here you're going to see a center pull and get out there. Very, very few centers ever pull and get out there. That is really hard because you got to think about this. You got to snap a ball through your legs and then cross your legs over and get running. You have to have very good movement skills to do that. Here, watch him get up to the second level on this linebacker. This is where he starts to shine, his ability to get up there. Boom. I mean, that burst. His 10-yard split, I think, was one of the best of all offensive linemen in this class. Here you're going to see him. They're going to run a little screen pass out here. Watch him get out, and he's going to plant his guy. So here he is, get out there. Here he is, 72, running down the field. Oh, ooh. That's what I love. The ability to get out there and run. You can't tell me Shanahan isn't going to see that and think, okay, I like what's happening here. Again, how does he handle all the stuff up front? They're going to have the assignments. They have a shift here. He's going to hand out an assignment to the running back. That was him telling running back, you got 5. Now they're going to change the play. So now he's got to dictate assignments again. All right. Now you get to see here, they're coming with a double blast blitz. So he immediately comes over, picks up the one guy. He's dictated to the running back. You got the other guy, and you pick it up. You keep your quarterback clean, and he's able to make a nice throw. Great pocket. That's a center handling the protection assignments, taking that off of your quarterback. That's what I like. Okay, here, one-on-one in pass pro. Can he hold up? We're going to see him against the nose tackle here against Georgia. This Georgia game just was so good. He just handles it up. Smaller frame guy, doesn't matter. He can still hold up there in pass pro. I love it. All right. Here, you're going to see him block on the nose tackle. He's going to plant this dude. This is what I mean. He plays with an edge. He drives. He fights. He's still going. Puts the guy on the ground. So you say smaller frame, but he's still doing that to some of these guys. Love it. You're going to see him here. He's going to get out on a screen. He's going to block this linebacker and put him into the dirt. Plays with an edge. You know, smaller guy, but man, when you talk about scheme fit to get out here, get these blocks, put your guy in the dirt, I get excited about this guy.
It's definitely encouraging. He moves so well. I do wonder, against the Seahawks and the Rams, is he going to be able to hold up? Obviously, that's a question the 49ers are asking themselves, but there's definitely a lot to like.
Definitely a lot to like. And again, the biggest thing being scheme fit. And if there's anything we've seen from Shanahan, he's tends to be pretty stubborn. He's not going to look at that Seahawks game and just say, well, I got to go to all maulers now. Mm-hmm. He's going to say, no, I think we can do some other things. And I mean, the bigger issues were like left guard and right guard against the Seahawks. So I think he's going to look at this and say, okay, if I got a guy who can step in and lead my offensive line down the road, this is the guy here. We're going to see. I'm trying to remember which one I have on here. I think it's his climbs the second. Yeah, he's going to climb to that second level, pick up the linebacker. Like that, again, it's that ability to climb and get up there. Here, climbs to the second level again. Or nope, he's going to put his defensive tackle in the dirt. Fights with these guys. Here you're going to see. Okay, now I know where I'm at. Okay, climbs the second level, picks up this linebacker. Get up there, get him out there. Love it. That ability to climb is so fast. Here you're going to see him get to the second level, and he's going to get a 2-for-1. So he's going to get a block, and then he's going to block another guy. And then he's got a good finish on. So there's the first one, there's the second one, and then he's going to finish the block. I love it. Do that. Here he's going to pull and get out here, And he's going to get a 2-for-1 again. You're going to see him block a linebacker first, and then he's going to plant to safety. So here's the pull. They're running out there. There's the first block. Then there's the safety and puts him into the ground.
You have a type at offensive line, Johnny.
I do.
You showed me, whether it's guard, center, tackle, whoever, it's always the guys that are planting people on the ground.
I mean, that's what I want from my offensive lineman. I want a guy who's going to like play with the nastiness and play with an edge, get out here, block, and finish their blocks. Like too many times you see guys that just don't do that. And that's the 49ers, right? That's George Kittle. That's Trent Williams. That's Colton McKivitz is why they like the guy. Like that's what the 49ers have in their culture as far as offensive line. They want physical guys who are going to block. That's the Mud Bowl game from 2019 against the Redskins. Like that is the 49ers. So that's why I look at these guys here. This is why I say perfect scheme fit. This is 49ers wide zone. Okay. You're going to run this wide zone. So what he's got to do, they have a 3 technique out here that he's got to reach this guy. So he's got to cross his face, engage, then flip his hips and seal him off. This is why it is so hard to get guys who run this scheme and why they emphasize movement ability, because to make this block, you have got a long way to go in a very short time to get there and to make this block. It's kind of like the old Smokey and the Bandit. Long way to go in a short time to get there. That reach block right there will open eyes in the 49ers building. Ability to do that from a center. That alone will open up a lot of eyes for them. Here you're going to see him be able to pick up a stunt. They're just going to bring this around and meets it with not just like a little handsy, like I'm gonna stop you. When this guy comes around, watch the violence he brings on with this stunt. He's gonna come over, throw a shoulder in there and just stuff the pass rush immediately. I really like this kid Brailsford out of Alabama.
Interesting. I was just checking him out in the Dieter and Hutch draft guide, and the comment is that zone center everyone hates, but who does his job well. Sounds like the heir to Jake Brendel to me.
That's right. That's right. But I think he plays with better pad level than Jake Brendel and plays with a nastier edge. That's what I like about him. I think he's got more upside than Jake Brendel, and he's got slightly longer arms. So if we're looking at what the 49ers asked their center to do, this is hand in glove and could actually be an upgrade over time.
Very interesting. Definitely something to keep an eye on for the 49ers. You've given us a lot to think about, Johnny.
I have one last guy. Not very many clips, though, because we talked about him a little bit last week.
I forgot about, is it Logan Jones?
It is Logan Jones from Iowa.
Sorry about that, Logan.
So again, not a whole lot of clips. We talked about him a little bit last week when we were talking about Jennings Dunker and Bo Stevens and showed some of him on his clips. Logan Jones is another athletic center who anchored a fantastic Iowa offensive line. Strong movement skills, more in the lateral area than just straight vertical movement. Will be a great scheme fit and shows the skills to play within a Shanahan scheme. Plays with an edge and blocks well in space. Gets to the second level and drives combo blocks to create holes up front. Can get walked back by stronger defensive tackles, but in a movement-based scheme would excel. Would be a good fit in scheme and that doesn't require straight on blocks a lot. Kind of like Brailsford, just a little bit bigger blocker. Really strong hands, but again, undersized. Again, I agree with the athletic here that he's a good technique guy, but is a little bit undersized. Not quite as much as Brailsford, but I think Brailsford might have a little bit more juice to him. But here you're going to see him be able to pull and block in space. Again, not every center can do that. You pull out there, get out there, block in space. I like that. You know, there's not a lot of centers that you look at in college that you see pulling. Not a lot of centers in the NFL that can pull. So when you have an ability to do that, that speaks to their movement skills. Here you're going to see him get out on a screen pass and love the way he attacks this. Here he is, 65, running down the field. Oh, plants the linebacker. I love it.
How about Iowa has Bo Stevens, Jennings Dunker, and Logan Jones all in this job? Did they ever like pass the ball or did they just run on everybody?
Well, their pass game wasn't so great, but they ran on a lot of people. I'll tell you that. They were committed to it. And I believe Logan Jones won the top center in the in college award, one of them. Anyways, here you're going to see him get to the second level, and he's going to plant the linebacker. So again, this is my type, right? Get up here, get on the linebacker, and plant the dude.
Bam!
I love it.
Yes, you're right. By the way, he did win the Remington Trophy as the nation's top center.
Yeah. So another thing to really like, I think all of these centers, because of their, again, most of them aren't clean in every single way. Oh, I love it. But they all should be there in around the fourth round. Jake Slaughter will probably be the biggest reach up to hope that he's going to be there in the fourth round. But again, anything can happen. Again, not all clean prospects, but they all have huge upside. I know people probably wondering why I didn't look at Trey June from Texas A&M. Trey, the thing about him is that he's already 24 right now. And if you're looking at, I think he's 24 and a half, that you're going to need a redshirt a guy behind Jake Brendel. That leaves you just less time with that guy. By the time he's playing and starting, he's probably going to be almost 26 years old. I'm not sure that I want to bring in a guy to be 26 by the time he starts. I want a guy who's going to be 23, 24 after a redshirt year. So that's why I kind of look past Trey June.
Well, every time you show me somebody, I'm like, yep, I hope they take him. Yep, I hope they take him. So you're just warping my draft view. But no, I really appreciate it. If there's somebody you want us to break down, leave it in the comments. We still got time. We're not totally sure what we're going to do next week because Johnny's got some travel things going on. We're going to try and figure it out. But regardless, even if we don't end up having to do a show on Thursday next week, go to the Johnny Dale Football Academy. There's plenty of film breakdowns on YouTube that Johnny has done already. Go and check it out. I promise you, if you like this show, you will love what is there. Thank you so much, Johnny. And hopefully we can talk to you and do it again next week.
Yeah, absolutely.